Right now, as you sit here, someone is silently evaluating your worth and discounting you entirely. You feel the subtle shift in room temperature the exact second your presence is ignored. Every ounce of respect you sacrificed to be liked was weaponized directly against your standing. You were taught that kindness buys devotion, yet you watch others receive loyalty for doing nothing. The uncomfortable truth is simple. You are losing power because you keep handing over control. Every text sent twice without reply is a small slice of your dignity surrendered. They notice when you bend your rules just to stay accessible in their world. While you lie awake, dissecting interactions, they have already moved on without a thought. You are constantly bleeding social currency because you do not know how human perception works. The modern world trained you to be agreeable, compliant, and completely easy to replace. If you do not master the silent levers of respect, someone else will leverage them against you. Notice how quickly excitement fades the moment you become entirely predictable to others. You think honesty alone earns attraction, but unspoken dynamics govern human desire completely. Every time you seek validation, you announce to the world that your self-image is broke. The pain you feel right now is the reality of being treated as optional. You are giving away your peace to people who wouldn't spend 5 minutes defending you. They don't respect your availability because things that are always available carry zero value. You have been operating under modern myths while everyone around plays by ancient rules. The sting of being forgotten is a signal that your boundaries are non-existent. How long will you permit yourself to be an afterthought in stories where you should lead? Every excess explanation you offer lowers your status in the eyes of the observer. You are burning your life's energy trying to be understood instead of becoming formidable. Your eagerness to please has made you invisible in conversations that truly matter. The power dynamic flipped the exact second you cared more about their opinion than your direction. You are constantly being measured, categorized, and positioned lower than you belong. The discomfort in your chest right now is your true potential begging for standard. Stop pretending that compliance will eventually yield the reverence you secretly hunger for. Every time you apologize for existing, you hand over a key to your authority. The dynamic is failing because you refuse to accept how psychological gravity operates. If you continue ignoring these reality mechanics, you will spend your life overlooked. You were lied to. You were told that being nice and transparent earns eternal devotion. Society taught you that vulnerability is strength, while real human mechanics exploit it mercilessly. The rules you were fed in youth were designed to keep you manageable and safe. When you display total openness, people do not admire your heart. They calculate your limit. The modern script tells you to chase approval, but chasing guarantees you will stay behind. You believed that being available meant showing care, but it actually signaled zero self-value. People are drawn to mystery and resistance, yet you handed over every map to yourself. You thought loyalty was a currency you could deposit to guarantee another person's affection. In reality, unearned loyalty is viewed as cheap and easily taken for granted. The media taught you that dramatic devotion wins respect, but in practice, it creates disgust. When you prioritize someone else's comfort over your own boundary, you teach them to disrespect you. Your pain is not a failure of character. It is the logical result of false training. You were conditioned to negotiate for respect instead of commanding it through quiet strength. The systems around you thrive when you stay emotionally reactive and easy to manipulate. They sold you a fairy tale that rewards submission while punishing genuine personal sovereignty. When you act out of desperation, your actions lose all strategic weight and influence. The modern paradigm forces men into a cycle of seeking validation from external judges. You believe you are showing love, but the observer perceives a total lack of internal frame. Human nature gravitates toward strength, competence, and self-contained emotional stability. By offering everything up front, you eliminate the dynamic of discovery and intrigue. You were made to believe that conflict is bad, so you tolerate small disrespects daily. Every small disrespect you swallow compounds until your boundaries are completely erased. The illusion that good intentions guarantee good treatment is your primary vulnerability. People interact with the power you project, not the internal goodwill you quietly possess. If you project constant compliance, expect to be treated as a tool rather than a sovereign. You have been operating under emotional impulse, while human dynamics operate on strategic value. The soft advice given by modern voices was crafted for harmony, not for individual power. To reclaim your standing, you must dismantle every comfortable lie you were fed about attraction. Attraction and respect are not given out of sympathy. They are conceded to unshakable frame. Your willingness to walk away is the foundation upon which all true value rests. Without the genuine ability to walk away, your boundaries are merely empty complaints. They do not fear losing you because you have shown them you will endure endless terms. You became predictable, and predictability in social dynamics breeds profound indifference. The moment you stop seeking external validation, the matrix of compliance loses its grip. You were conditioned to fear coldness, yet emotional detachment is often your sharpest defense. When you master your emotional reactions, you cease to be a puppet on visible strings. The truth is ruthless. Modern social norms reward the cold strategist while consuming the eager pleaser. You must unlearn the myth that affection can be earned through servitude and self-sacrifice. Respect is built on scarcity, clear boundaries, and an underlying aura of absolute self-sufficiency. When you recognize how you were programmed, you take the first real step toward true power. Stop blaming others for exploiting the gaps you left wide open in your personal defense. The system relies on your ignorance of these timeless principles to keep you under control. Once you strip away the propaganda, human interaction reveals itself as a game of leverage. You can either remain a passive participant in their game or learn the rules that govern. It is time to discard the comforting lie and embrace the sharp reality of human power dynamics. To understand power without sentimentality, we turn to Niccolo Machiavelli. In 16th century Florence, Machiavelli saw through the moral posturing of kings and courts. He did not write for how men ought to live, but for how men actually behave. While idealists preached virtue, Machiavelli mapped the ruthlessly practical nature of human ambition. His works were banned, denounced, and hidden because they stripped away the veil of social illusions. Machiavelli understood that human desire is driven by perception, strategic leverage, and calculated appearance. He knew that men who seek to be universally liked will inevitably be betrayed by those they placate. Machiavelli revealed that true influence rests upon mastering your public surface while keeping internal counsel. He observed that human affection is fickle and bound only by utility and dynamic power. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This single insight contains the key to social leverage and psychological independence. When you control what you appear to be, you govern how the world responds to you. Machiavelli understood that people react to surface signals far more than underlying truth. If your surface signal is desperate or needy, no amount of inner value will save you. If your surface signal is calm, self-contained, and potent, respect becomes the automatic response. He warned against allowing others to discover the total boundaries of your thoughts. An open book invites manipulation. An unread treatise commands caution and curiosity. Machiavelli was not evil, he was simply unyielding in his commitment to realistic observation. He documented the mechanics of human behavior so men could defend their sovereignty. Those who ignore Machiavelli's warnings remain eternal victims of those who study them. He taught that emotional control is the primary foundation of every strategic victory. When you lose control of your emotions, you hand over your steering wheel to opponents. His philosophy applies as directly to modern interpersonal dynamics as to ancient principalities. The levers of attraction and respect have not changed in 500 years. Those who master these levers control their fate. Those who ignore them suffer continuous neglect. Machiavelli provides the framework to dismantle modern social dynamic fallacies. By applying his cold lens to human attraction, you gain immediate, unshakable clarity. You cease asking why people treat you poorly and start shaping how they react. This is not about trickery. It is about absolute alignment with psychological reality. Prepare to apply Machiavellian power philosophy to modern attraction and social positioning. Lesson 1. The aura of unshakable presence. What women notice first is not your words, but your weight. Your posture, your physical composure, and your deliberate movement communicate your tier before you speak. You know this situation well. Entering a crowded room and feeling invisible, while another man commands respect effortlessly. You fidget, adjust your clothing, and scan for approval, broadcasting internal anxiety to every observer. This happens because human instinct reads micro-behaviors instantly to judge hierarchical standing. Rapid movements and constant checking signal high threat awareness and low self-perceived status. Slow, deliberate physical actions signal that you occupy your space with complete authority. Grooming and presence are not vanity, they are the external armor of internal order. Starting today, slow every physical movement down by 20% and maintain calm eye contact. When you enter a room, do not scan for approval. Allow the environment to adjust to your calm tempo. Commanding presence begins by refusing to yield your stillness to ambient noise. Drop this in the comments. I am the destination, not the pursuit. Your physical composure is the first barrier that filters out low-status dynamics. Women perceive presence as a direct reflection of your capability under pressure. When your posture is grounded, your words carry tenfold weight without extra volume. A man who cannot control his physical jitters cannot convince anyone he controls his life. Observe how sovereign figures carry themselves. Zero wasted motion, zero desperate seeking. When you eliminate hurried motion, you project immediate authority. Presence is the silent language that communicates power before you speak a single word. Your body language sets the terms of engagement in every human encounter. Never hurry your speech or your strides. Speed is the marker of submissiveness. When you master your physical frame, you lay the baseline for all psychological influence. Subtle confidence draws curiosity because it contrasts sharply with modern hyperreactivity. Maintain your composure, even when external events attempt to pull you off balance. Physical groundedness triggers instant respect because it cannot be faked for long. Stand upright, breathe deeply into your center, and claim your physical territory. When you treat your presence as sacred, others naturally follow your valuation. Notice how people clear path for men who walk with clear, unhurried intent. Your physical composure is your first line of defense against social disrespect. Master your stillness, and you master the initial wave of attraction. Lesson 2. Emotional stability as supreme power. Women are drawn to emotional composure, not volatility. A man who remains unshakable during stress represents ultimate security and strength. Recall when a sudden conflict arose and you reacted with anger, defensiveness, or frantic panic. You felt your authority instantly evaporate as you fought to regain control of the room. This occurs because emotional outbursts reveal that external circumstances dictate your state. When you lose emotional control, you prove that you can be easily manipulated by provocation. Women test emotional stability subconsciously to determine if you can withstand life's pressures. If you collapse into emotional drama, you fail the fundamental test of masculine containment. Starting today, insert a 5-second pause before responding to any emotionally charged situation. Use silence as your primary response until your rational mind takes total control. Silence in provocation is not weakness. It is the ultimate demonstration of power. Drop this in the comments. Sling is my greatest shield. When you master emotional stability, you become the anchor in every stormy room. People lean on men who do not crumble when chaos erupts around them. Your composure creates an irresistible psychological sanctuary for those seeking stability. Never allow another person's bad mood to dictate your internal state. Emotional composure signals that your self-worth is anchored far beyond external opinion. When provoked, react with quiet amusement or total stoic attachment. This reaction disarms aggression and asserts your dominance over the emotional field. Emotional stability is not the suppression of feeling, but the mastery of action. You feel the emotion, observe it, and decide deliberately whether to act. Most men act on impulse. The sovereign man acts on strategic decision. This level of emotional discipline commands quiet reverence from everyone around you. Women intuitively trust a man who governs his own mind during moments of chaos. When you lose your temper, you surrender your authority to whoever provoked you. Reclaim your authority by refusing to engage in emotional ping-pong. Hold your center regardless of how hard external events attempt to shake you. Your emotional peace is your non-negotiable territory. Defend it with unyielding silence. Mastery over your emotional responses is the cornerstone of all social leverage. Be the mountain, not the wind that blows against it. Lesson 3. Eradicating the infection of neediness. What women consistently dislike is desperation. Neediness is the absolute killer of attraction because it signals zero self-perceived value. Think of sending double texts, over-explaining your actions, or seeking constant approval for simple choices. You watch the other person pull away, becoming colder and more distant with every effort you made. This happens because desperation communicates that you need them more than they need you. Human nature shrinks away from suffocating need while gravitating toward sovereign independence. This knowledge is for protection, not destruction. When you eradicate neediness, you protect your dignity and preserve your natural allure. Starting today, never seek validation for your decisions, and match their energy investment precisely. If they step back, you step back. Never pursue someone who is actively walking away. Holding your ground when others step back establishes your complete self-containment. Drop this in the comments. I control my own valuation. When you stop chasing, you force the other person to evaluate your true value. Desperation lowers your status instantly, while quiet independence lifts it effortlessly. People value what they must earn, not what is handed to them on request. Make your presence a privilege, never an unavoidable burden. When you eliminate neediness, your interactions transform from begging to selecting. Neediness stems from the false belief that external approval completes your worth. Complete your own worth through mission, discipline, and daily self-mastery. When your internal cup is full, you interact from abundance rather than scarcity. Abundance mindset is magnetic because it demands nothing from the observer. Never double text, never ask where you stand, and never demand attention. If attention is not offered freely, direct your focus back toward your own kingdom. Your kingdom requires your total dedication. Do not neglect it for temporary approval. When you invest in your path, others naturally desire to join your journey. Root out every subtle form of desperation that lurks in your communication. Speak with brevity, act with clarity, and remain comfortable in solitude. A man comfortable in solitude can never be controlled by fear of rejection. Rejection is simply a redirect toward higher alignment for the sovereign individual. Eradicate need, and you become instantly difficult to overlook. Lesson 4. The strategic value of scarcity. Curiosity drives attraction far more than total transparency. When you spill your entire life story on day one, you destroy all intrigue. Recognize the pattern, oversharing every thought, plan, and vulnerability in hopes of building quick intimacy. Instead of closeness, you notice their interest dwindled as mystery vanished completely. This happens because human desire thrives in the space of uncertainty and discovery. When everything is revealed immediately, there is nothing left for the imagination to explore. Machiavelli noted that men are intrigued by what they must work to discover. Scarcity increases perceived worth across every domain of human exchange. Starting today, reveal details about your life slowly, earn by earn, conversation by conversation. Keep your grand plans quiet until they are fully executed into undeniable reality. Silence around your next moves creates an air of powerful anticipation. Drop this in the comments. Boundaries are unmatched power. When your time and attention are scarce, every interaction becomes significantly valuable. Do not be accessible 24/7 to anyone who hasn't earned that access. Your availability should reflect your priorities, and your mission comes first. When you prioritize your mission, your scarcity becomes natural rather than manufactured. People respect a man who has important places to be and major goals to accomplish. Mystery sparks curiosity. Curiosity sparks thought, and thought fuels deep attraction. Allow people to wonder about your thoughts rather than broadcasting every opinion instantly. The less you say, the more weight your spoken words carry. Controlled revelation keeps the dynamic fresh, intriguing, and continuously engaging. Never allow anyone to feel they have completely mapped out your boundaries and capabilities. An element of unpredictable depth forces others to stay attentive in your presence. Scarcity of access reinforces your status as a high-value sovereign individual. When access to you is rare, it is treated as a prize rather than an expectation. Protect your schedule with unyielding discipline and precise boundaries. Let your absence be felt just as powerfully as your physical presence. Absence sharpens value. Constant presence dulls even the sharpest edge. Master the art of deliberate withdrawal when respect or enthusiasm dips. Scarcity is the ultimate multiplier of attraction and dynamic authority. Lesson 5. Sovereign independence and boundary control. Real power is mastering yourself. How to impress without chasing. Build your own life. Set clear boundaries and stick to them. Remember letting a boundary slip because you feared displeasing someone you desired. You compromised your standards, hoping your flexibility would be rewarded with love. Instead of gratitude, you received boundary pushing and loss of basic respect. This happens because people test boundaries to see if a man's word carries true authority. When you break your own rules for someone, you reveal that your principles are negotiable. Negotiable principles signal weakness, inviting further boundary violations and loss of stature. Starting today, define 3 non-negotiable boundaries and enforce them without hesitation or anger. When a boundary is crossed, communicate cold clarity and step back immediately. Boundaries without consequences are simply polite suggestions that will be ignored. Drop this in the comments. Mastery begins within me. Enforcing boundaries proves that you respect yourself more than you fear losing others. Self-respect is the foundation upon which all genuine attraction and reverence are built. When you respect your boundaries, others intuitively recognize that you cannot be bought or bullied. Build a life so rich, focused, and purposeful that you never need someone else to fill a void. Your goals, your health, and your personal empire must take absolute priority. When someone enters your life, they enter a moving train, not an empty station. Show interest without becoming dependent on approval or external validation. Listen carefully, communicate clearly, but maintain your independent internal compass. A man who listens attentively without losing his center is uniquely compelling. Never bend your core values to accommodate another person's transient desires. Flexibility in small things is fine. Flexibility in core principles is fatal. Stand firm on your foundational terms, regardless of the social pressure applied. Your boundaries protect your purpose and define the territory of your authority. Those who respect your boundaries belong in your sphere. Those who resist them filter themselves out. Allow people to leave if they cannot honor the simple terms of your respect. Your willingness to enforce consequences makes your boundaries real and sovereign. Master your boundaries, and you master the terms of every relationship. Self-containment is the ultimate expression of internal masculine power. Lesson 6. The ultimate Machiavellian self-mastery. The strongest position isn't controlling someone else. It's mastering yourself. When you understand human behavior, you stop begging for attention and start becoming naturally worth noticing. Consider how much energy you spent trying to manipulate how someone felt about you. You analyzed their texts, engineered chance meetings, and tried to manage their reactions. It drained your focus and left you feeling exhausted, powerless, and profoundly frustrated. This happens because controlling others is an illusion that drains your real potential. Machiavelli taught that the sovereign prince focuses exclusively on what lies within his power. You cannot force someone to desire you, but you can build a self that is impossible to ignore. Starting today, shift 100% of your energy from outward manipulation to inward mastery. Focus on your physical strength, your financial autonomy, your intellect, and your emotional stability. When you become formidable in reality, attraction ceases to be a pursuit and becomes a natural consequence. Attraction becomes easier to understand when you stop asking, "How do I control her?" and start asking, "How do I become difficult to ignore?" Becoming difficult to ignore requires building undeniable competence and character. Competence creates quiet authority that radiates through every room you step into. When you no longer depend on anyone's approval, you unlock true psychological freedom. Psychological freedom is the ultimate magnet that draws high-value people to your orbit. Stop begging for table scraps of attention when you possess the tools to build your own feast. Invest every hour into your skills, your mindset, and your unyielding purpose. The work you do in secret will speak loudly in every public arena. Master your habits, master your emotions, and master your physical existence. When self-mastery is complete, external validation becomes completely irrelevant to your peace. You stop asking to be picked because you have become the chooser. Machiavelli's deepest truth is that sovereign power is built from within before it manifests outside. Take command of your own life, and the world will adjust to your standard. Stop playing the seeker. Step into the role of the sovereign architect. Build a life so compelling that attraction is merely an automatic side effect. This is the ultimate position of Machiavellian power and modern personal freedom. Master yourself, and you will never need to beg for control again. Your self-mastery is your permanent defense and your ultimate path to authority. The old you is dead. You have shed the desperate pleaser who begged for scraps of dynamic approval. You now see human interaction for what it truly is, a system of energy, boundaries, and sovereign frame. You will never again apologize for holding your boundaries or demanding basic respect. You are a weapon, pointed at your own future. Every decision you make from this day forward serves your mission, your growth, and your kingdom. No longer governed by impulse, fear, or the cheap need for modern validation. You belong to no one. You stand completely sovereign, anchored in your own unshakable internal value. Step into your power, lock your boundaries, and never look back. You can return to the comfortable lies of the masses, or you can join those who master the reality of power. Subscribing to this channel is not a casual click. It is a conscious decision to commit to your own transformation. If you are ready to stop begging and start commanding your life, hit subscribe now. Your evolution requires constant feeding of hard truths over pleasant illusions. Here is your question for the comments. Which of your own boundaries have you been sacrificing? And what will it cost you if you do not restore